Hello, and welcome to Palindrome ASMR. So today, I will be playing with and manipulating some Sure Sense scent beads. Now, they don't make much of a sound. I've actually tested this sound a little bit myself before starting the video, but I can assure you that at the very least it will give you the feeling of watching someone else play with rice. So there's this certain feeling that I get whenever I play with rice, and that by some definition extends to when I watch someone else play with rice. I don't really make a habit of watching someone else play with rice. It's just that sometimes I can't help but watch people mess with rice. So it's a tiny little bead. It's very soft, very liquidy. It's actually really cold in here because it's the dead of winter, and here in northern Louisiana it gets surprisingly cold in the winter. Sometimes it even snows. The smell is really strong when I take off the top of the scents, but I hope you can I just dropped it. It's very slippery. These balls are all very... Alright, let's see if they make any nice... Ah, yes. This must be the way to use them. I'm kind of afraid of jostling this too much, for fear of disrupting their purpose, or they look kind of fragile to me, and if agitated too much, I'm afraid they might start falling apart. But there is a lot of scent oil in here. I'm sure that eventually the oil will dry out and these balls will shrink. But for now, they smell wonderful. When I'm done with this, I'm going to put these in my trailer bathroom. Because, well, I have them, so why not? The lady at the dollar store who checked me out as I was buying this prop and a bunch of other props, including hair curlers, I think she thought I was crazy. Well, no, she didn't think I was crazy. She checked me out with a scary precision, and I think she didn't even look at the items as she scanned them because it was late at night. Her shift had probably gone on for far too long, and I think, well, I was the one who was a little bit weirded out by my own selection. I got hair curlers, some Q-tips, some scent beads, some a wash thingy, one of those wash flowers. I could go grab it right now, but I don't want to get out of frame for too long. And I don't have very good editing software. I only have Windows Movie Maker, and And I'd like to do this in one cut because the cuts, jump cuts, which is the only kind of cut I can do, and not very accurately either, but jump cuts will startle you, and I don't want to do that. Now my fingers smell like flowers. Cherry blossom. Huh. I picked quite an apt smell. If you can read that. Cherry blossom. I picked quite an apt smell since I'm such a big anime fan. I'm such a big anime fan. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start doing ASMR anime reviews. Because personally, I don't like watching anime reviews because they take too long. I prefer to read an anime review, like on My Anime List, because I can instantly tell what the rating is just by glancing at it. They'll give it like a rating, and I can instantly tell what the rating is. And then, if I want, I can read the justification. Or if I don't, I can just trust the review or read a bunch of other reviews. It gives me a good at a glance. And personally, I don't like reading one anime review because one person's opinion may be different. So that's why I use My Anime List's aggregate score, which I think is a very accurate representation of what the general population thinks of an anime and how good an anime will be if it's... I mean, I can handle a low-rated Moe Blob show because I love Moe Blob and it's my favorite genre. I love all Moe because it's just so great. Yep, that's it. And for those of you who don't know, Moe is Japanese for a form of hyper cuteness, of cute for the sake of cute. And I'm not talking like doggy cute, I'm talking like girls with eyes the size of dinner plates cute. that kind of cute. And I used to hold that genre in disdain and be like, what, Moe Blob? I'm not that kind of a person. But after watching several shows because I had nothing better to watch, I just fell in love with Moe Blob. It's called Moe Blob because their animation is, their faces are like marshmallows basically. It's like their entire bodies are made out of fluffy marshmallows. I hope this gives you some nice tingles. It seems to be about the only way that I can properly use it, because putting my finger in here gets my hand full of... Can you hear that? Not the plastic, but it's surprisingly soundless. I wasn't able to actually stick my hand in here and test these out when I bought them. So I was expecting them to make more sound than this. This is kind of disappointing that this is the only sound that they can make, but yeah, I love slice of life in general, but Moe Blob in particular. Moe Blob is not the official name of the genre. It's just Moe, but people call it Moe Blob because they look like they're made out of marshmallows, and it's just, I don't know. I may seem like a weirdo for that. I'll happily admit that I am a total weirdo. But I just can't handle cute girls doing cute things. It sounds so weird coming out of my mouth. I feel like I have this distaste for the concept, but the execution is just wonderful because, and of course, the stories are always pretty interesting. I like slice of life in general, but I like slice of life in general, so obviously slice of life is very good for me. My favorite anime, actually, uh, what's my favorite anime? I have different favorite animes. Different genres appeal to me in different ways. I think my favorite Moe Blob for character designs has to be Gochuma mo Usagi, which is Will Your Order Be a Rabbit? There's a little bit of a translation error in the English title. Is the order a rabbit? That was a translation error when they translated it to English, but it stuck because that was the official translation that was used in the anime. Like, in the opening it said, is the order a rabbit? But that, at first, when I first read that title, I thought it was like, is the Masonic Order a rabbit? I thought it was like a show about a Freemasons-like organization that worshipped rabbits. And that confusion lasted until I watched the first episode, which was quite a long time. So the real translation should be, will your order be a rabbit? Gochuma mo usagi desu ka? Sure Sense. Cherry Blossom. Air Freshener Crystal Bleeds. Bleeds. I said bleeds instead of beads. Deodorant Crystal. Cherry Blossom. Sakura. Because they're a uniquely Japanese thing, which is why I started talking about anime in the first place. You see a lot of cherry blossoms in anime. And in Japan, I learned this because of anime. In Japan, there is a tradition called flower viewing, where when the cherry blossoms bloom, people have picnics out in parks underneath the cherry tree. And they view the flowers because the flowers are very stunning. And in many anime, the art of the flowers is equally stunning. Ohanami, I think that's the word for it. Ohanami, which is a conjunction, a compound word of hana, flower, miteru, miru. I don't know about the infinitive conjugation of mite, but I think it's either miteru or miru. But I think those are both different conjugations. One of them is second person infinitive. No, second person participle. While because the ru is the participle, it's an ing and a tu, which is kind of interesting about Japanese compared to English, is that they combine their ing and their tu. So to eat and eating are both taberu. Taberu desu ka? Which means, are you eating? And then just taberu, which is on its own, to eat. Taberu desu ka? Although there might be a nasal, probably alveolar, a nasal alveolar. I don't know my IPA, very well, but I know it's got to be nasal and it's got to be alveolar because it's the palate. No, it's either palladial or alveolar. The we have it in English, but not as strong as they have it in Japanese. The sound in Japanese is has an entire. It's the only consonant. It's not really a consonant. It's the only. Is like the cherry on top of the Japanese katakana writing style. It's the only one that doesn't have a consonant vowel formation. So wa wa a I U E O ga ki ku ke ko sa shi su se so ya hi yu yu yo ma mi mu me mo. Anyways, that's the Japanese alphabet song. If you didn't know, I mean, Chinese only has its characters. Only Chinese only has characters. But Japanese actually has two phonetic alphabets. Two completely different phonetic alphabets that has, so basically they have two letters for each of their subphonemes. So the ra has a katakana and a hiragana writing, and it also has many kanji readings. So ra can be represented by a hiragana ra, a katakana ra, or a kanji that is read as ra. Also, I think this is my favorite fact. In Japanese, they don't distinguish between ra and la and ra. So la and ra are not distinguished. So they're both ra, da and ra. And so names like Lise or Liz are translated as Lise, and I think sometimes it just interested me because one of the characters' names is obviously Liz because it's an English name. They're in an English or a German setting, and so her name is Liz, but they call her Lise. And the translators, the subtitle translators, translated the name as R-I-Z-E instead of L-I-Z, which I thought was an interesting artifact of translation. Lise, they chose to be faithful to the Japanese pronunciation of Liz instead of using the English Liz, which is how we normally spell it. And if you weren't paying attention, you might actually miss that entirely and think that her name was R-I-Z-E, when it could just as accurately be L-I-Z. Another thing that is very interesting is that English is spoken. So basically, I have this theory. Languages have roots in your mouth. Languages have roots somewhere in your mouth, and they always come from all of the phonemes center around this linguistic phonetic root inside of your mouth. And in English, the root is right behind your teeth. That's where the English root is, right behind your teeth. All English is spoken around the space right behind your teeth, and for the vowels in the middle of your tongue. So it's a very mouthy language. There's not very much nasal to it. It's a very breathy, mouthy language, and you speak it around your teeth and in the middle of your tongue. But Japanese, as a language, is centered in the the middle of your nose, your nasal cavity, and in the back of your throat. A, I, U, E, O. In the back of your throat, above your glottal flap. Not at the bottom of the back of your throat, but the top of the back of your throat. All of the vowels come from there. So it's A, I, U, E, O. Nose, top of the back of your throat. A, E, I, O, U. Deep from the chest, middle of the tongue, teeth. Ka, ke, the, wa, we. All of it centers around the back of your teeth. And the vowels, ah, center around the middle of your tongue. A, E, I, O, U. Do you notice that? Also, one of the things that really bothers me about IPA is the fact that they don't make a distinction between different languages' interpretations of the same phoneme. So, different languages have different interpretations of the same phoneme. They are slightly different. While your tongue could be in almost the exact same place, and your entire mouth would be almost in exact same place, if you want to speak that language with a native accent, you have to shift your tongue. Maybe goes a little bit higher, halfway across the alveolar, not completely turning into a glottal, but not completely changing out of an alveolar either. It's just shifting slightly, so that if you use the phoneme as you've learned it in your native language, you won't sound like a native speaker of your other language. You have to shift your phonemes. You can't import phonemes from languages. You can't import the... So English has a... I don't know what the lips are called, but it's a sound. That's a... Oh gosh. Plosive? No, it's not a plosive. In English, when we make the sound, we purse our lips. But in Japanese, when they make the sound, they go... Because English is centered around the top teeth. So we change the cavity of our mouth. We raise our tongue. And we make the cavity centered around our back teeth. But because Japanese is centered around the top of the back of the throat, the F comes from there. The air goes like this instead of like this. And it took me a long time to notice that difference. But for some reason, it was because I was practicing, and for some reason I couldn't get my to sound like I heard it. I was noticing that my didn't sound Japanese. And so I just listened, and eventually I came up with the solution that I was not using the right version of the phoneme. So, hua hua, hua hua. I still can't produce it accurately, but hua hua is fluffy. So, fua hua hua. We would say it fua fua, right? Fua fua, centered around the back of the front teeth. But Japanese goes hua hua, hua hua, hua hua, hu hu hu. If you notice, it sounds slightly different. You may not even be able to tell the difference, but hua hua, hua hua. Because I'm an English speaker, I can't accurately reproduce the sound exactly, but I can sort of guess at it. I've practiced this phoneme also. I have practiced this phoneme. I One of the things I do when I'm bored is I practice my Japanese phonemes, because I think that speaking a language requires a lot more than just learning vocabulary and grammar. And I think it is my theory that if you consciously adjust your phonemes to sound more like the original, you'll be able to speak with a better accent when you eventually do learn the language. So, that's what I do. I center around the phonemes because I just think... Anyways, I've been talking for way too long about things that interest me way too much, which is linguistics, but... bilabial. Yes. A bilabial... Not a fricative. That would be f, but... But fat. Bilabial. That is the lips, bilabial. That's the IPA word for... IPA is an International Phonetic Alphabet. And that is the IPA for lips, bilabial. So a bilabial stop would be p. A bilabial plosive would be p. By the way, I'm not a linguist. I only watch linguistics YouTube videos on a regular basis. I'm kind of a language nerd, but I don't know anything about it. I just do a little bit of research on my own. So I hope you learned something. I hope you learned that I'm a language nut and a nut about Japanese, because anyone who watches as much anime as I do can't help but be a nut about Japan. I mean, I've watched about 2,000 hours of anime. That is not an exaggeration. I have a library where I record all of the anime where I've ever watched, called MyAnimeList.net, and they give you a number of how many hours of anime you've watched, and my number is frighteningly close to 2,000. I know, right? Golly. That's about 1/5 of the time it takes to master something. So if I do this 4 more times, if I watch 2,000 hours of anime 4 more times, I'll literally be a master at watching anime. If you've ever read Outliers, Malcolm Gladwell's book Outliers, he talks about 10,000 hour rule and how it takes 10,000 hours to master something. It only takes 20 hours to learn something. But truly be a master, you have to what? You have to do the thing for 10,000 hours. If you want to be competitive in like the world of solo performance, or the world of acting, or the world of writing, or the world of music, these categories are highly competitive. And if you want to be at the top, practice for 10,000 hours. You don't have to be skilled. You don't have to have talent. If you put in 10,000 hours, that's 5 years, no, that's 10 years of a 40-hour-a-week workday. You'll be a master. And that's not just doing it either. That's focused training on one thing. Breaking it down, working on what you don't get. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed my ramble. This video has gotten a little bit long. Thank you if you've come this far and were able to sit through my rambling. I do thank you very much for watching. You're amazing, as always. And I will catch you tomorrow with something a little bit better than this prop, which is surprisingly non-conducive to ASMR. Maybe I'll play with it a little bit just more. If you can see my fingers going in, maybe that will get you ASMR-ing out. A guy sticking his fingers into a can of scent beads, which is something I've always wanted to do. But now that I do it, it's a little bit less, it's not as much as it doesn't feel as good as I expected because it's too wet, too watery. But that's it. I do hope you have a good day, and thank you for watching.